Hey folks, just imagine this. They sang a song wrong, and now a spirit from beyond has come to take their child, because this is the 2022 movie Lullaby. So, it's best not to blink or something will get you. Now, let's recap. A family is taking care of their little child, but something is wrong because they fear someone coming to take him away. In their panic, they start smashing all the mirrors, but the husband ends up dead. Clearly, something went terribly wrong because their son still disappears, leaving behind a Chinese version. Now, we see the couple John and Rachel arriving home with their newborn baby, their dream come true. Little do they know that from this point on, they wouldn't be able to sleep. But I'll leave that mystery for them to discover. Someone knocks on the door, delivering packages in Rachel's mother's name. Opening the box, they find items from Rachel's sister, who had been in storage. That couple at the beginning of the movie was her sister, and it seems she genuinely lost her little child. Inside the box, they find a very old book written in Hebrew, and John attempts to translate it because there's a song to sing when the young one doesn't want to sleep. Rachel understands a bit about music, so she starts singing the song from the book. However, the phone interrupts, and little do they know it's a divine provision, but humans always manage to mess things up. The next day, John needs to work because he owns a large art exhibition. The problem is someone has to take care of the child. Rachel owns a big restaurant in the area, so they decide to take turns to make it manageable. The problem is, on her first day alone, the baby doll won't stop crying. She has to take it everywhere, even to the bathroom. During the night, she can't take it anymore and finds the book on the floor, remembering the lullabies. She decides to give it a shot, and John had left the translation. As she starts singing, the baby suddenly falls silent. Everything seems fine, but there's a mirror in the room that starts cracking. She thinks it's okay, gets excited for when John returns, because now she wants to make up for the past 3 months. She puts on a special dress and leads him to the bedroom, and we know what happens next. After a mere 2 seconds, with one entering and the other exiting, they both fall asleep because being parents isn't easy. But here's where things get even more complicated. Rachel looks at the baby monitor and sees a very bizarre old woman observing the baby. She panics, rushes to the room, but there's nothing there. She thinks it's a problem with the baby monitor. In the living room, a sculpture starts moving on its own, even with the windows closed, and the bird won't stop squawking as if there's something there. To make matters worse, someone starts knocking on the door in the middle of the night. I don't even need to tell you that this is a recipe for disaster. But for her, everything seemed normal, and the mirror was even more cracked. The next day, the baby is still calm, so they head to the bathroom to take advantage of the moment. However, when John looks at Rachel, she appears as that bizarre old woman, and he becomes terrified, losing his arousal. Rachel gets angry, thinking he did it because her body hasn't returned to normal after pregnancy. Here, we see that even women from the beyond can mess up your life. So, if you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe, because YouTube tells me you forget to hit the notification bell. Now, let's continue. Rachel goes to a store to buy a new baby monitor, but as she arrives, she starts feeling a strange sensation as if she's being watched. Suddenly, the lights start flickering, and she begins to see that twisted old woman again. However, people around her think she's not well because they see nothing unusual. When she gets back home, she knows something is wrong because the bird won't stop singing. To make matters worse, the power goes out at home. Most people would grab some flashlights, but she wants to be different. She starts hearing a baby crying in the crib, even though she was carrying the baby, and when she looks, it's just a doll. But she's never seen a doll cry like a real baby, and she feels like she's being watched in the closet. When John arrives home, she's waiting in the lobby and tells him that someone is in the house, but doesn't know how they got in. Instead of calling the police, John decides to investigate and grabs an iron rod. In his surprise, he accidentally hits their bird, which was somehow loose. After that, the lights come back on, and now the mystery is about to be revealed. She explains that after singing that song, she started seeing a bizarre old woman approaching. John remembers the bathroom incident and says he was seeing it too. They decide to get rid of that songbook. During the night, John starts hearing the baby cry, but the baby is in their bed. He realizes he woke up in the building's trash chute because it was the book that was calling him. From From there, he understands that things are spiraling out of control, and they need to uncover this mystery before it gets worse. While he goes to a Jewish church with the doll, because he's a converted Jew, Rachel heads to the hospital where her sister is interned. Since she lost her child, they found her with a counterfeit doll, and nobody believed her story, thinking she had gone crazy. A woman tells John that the book was actually not a lullaby but a trap to lure Lilith to Earth, and she would come to take the child. However, she dismisses it as mere legend, despite him explaining everything that's been happening. Even Rachel's sister had come to say the same thing some time ago, and she didn't want to believe it. Meanwhile, Rachel is talking to her sister, who knows all about what's happening and says she would help if she could get out of there. When John gets back home, he realizes the faucet was left running. The problem is, during this time, some bizarre creatures appear and knock over a glass vase, intending for the child to get cut because it's part of the ritual for the crazy old lady to appear. Fortunately, Rachel arrives in time with her sister, who says they need to take some measures because Lilith can see everything through the mirrors and they need to cover them. John receives a call from a rabbi who says he can help and gives him an urgent address. Meanwhile, Rachel stays home with her sister, looking like she just came out of the loony bin. Upon arriving in the Jewish neighborhood, John discovers that nobody really liked the rabbi whose name he was given. He ventures into a suspicious alley where the rabbi worked, and his assistant leads him to Rabbi Charakin, who was working on a corpse. Rachel begins to examine the book and learns that it was actually a very clever trap Lilith used to capture random dolls. When Lilith was created, she rebelled against Adam and has since been wandering, having children with animals. Since then, she has wanted to have descendants of Adam. Rabbi Charakin explains that there are 3 rituals for her to arrive. One involves singing the song, the second is sacrificing an animal, he recalls the deceased bird, and the third involves taking a blood sample from the child. In the meantime, the creatures are getting closer, but Rachel wakes up just in time. The rabbi offers a ritual to keep Lilith away from her family forever, but it requires faith. The problem is, he only converted to Judaism because of his wife. Rachel is very tired, and her sister offers to take care of the child while she rests. Everything seems fine until she hears her sister singing the song from the book. Here's the big plot twist: her sister had taken a bit of the child's blood because she intended to open the portal to the underworld and thus retrieve her child. She believed that this way, they could all live happily. In reality, it was she who sent those boxes to Rachel to make her fall into the trap. With a sister like that, it's better to be an orphan. The two of them start fighting because Rachel's sister was really crazy, and John is trying to come back quickly because he had a stomachache, which means trouble is brewing. Meanwhile, the witch who worked for Lilith was nervous. When he arrives, there is only the Chinese doll, and Rachel is pulled into the mirror, landing in a world filled with random dolls, with creatures pulling her toward the depths. Her sister saves her because they need to find their children and get out of there. In the meantime, John, who has nothing to do with any of this, is performing the ritual. The witch, looking disheveled, appears, and a fight ensues. He manages to win. However, Rachel arrives in a garden full of children and needs to find her son, but Lilith appears agitated, saying that no one is leaving. But never challenge an angry mother, as Rachel's sister manages to grab the child and becomes bait for Lilith while Rachel tries to escape. She passes through several mirrors and needs to find the one leading to her house. She barely manages to get out, and they defeat the evil entity. However, when they look, they realize that the child isn't hers but her nephew, because her sister had switched the children. And, guys, this doesn't make sense, because she could have easily run away with both of them. And, as we know, when someone is in a mess, they can't stop making mistakes. John takes the book again because they plan to attempt the ritual to enter the world of mirrors and rescue the child. And that was the movie Lullaby. So, be careful, because if an old woman appears near you, it means you're going to lose your doll. Leave a like and subscribe because I'm going to teach you how to survive in this bizarre world. Now, I'm out of here. Goodbye.
I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me and I walk alone.